high atop Blackwood Hill, where the trees twisted like gnarled fingers, and the wind howled through empty corridors, sat the Evermore mansion. Its last inhabitant, an old woman named Alina Grayson, was a whisper in the town below. Few had seen her in years, though stories persisted. Some claimed she was a witch, others a banshee, and a few swore she was already dead, her spirit lingering in the decrepit halls. One autumn night, 3 men arrived at Evermore with nothing but greed in their hearts. Vincent, the leader, had heard rumors of Alina's wealth, the gold trinkets, the heirlooms, the fortune hidden behind those towering iron gates. He brought along Cyrus, a burly brute with fists like stone, and Luther, a wiry man with fingers adept at locks. The men scaled the rusted gates and entered through the kitchen window, expecting silence, expecting dust, but instead they found warmth. A fire burning low in the great hearth, the smell of lavender, and something else, something sickly sweet. "She knows we're here," Luther muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "Shut up and move," Vincent ordered. They crept through the mansion, past grand chandeliers draped in cobwebs and portraits with eyes that seemed to follow. But it was in the drawing room that they found her. Alina sat in an ornate chair, hands folded, lips curved in a knowing smile. Her skin was pale, almost translucent, and her eyes, cloudy and ancient, pierced through the gloom. "Ah," she exhaled, her voice like brittle leaves. "I was wondering when you would arrive." Vincent stepped forward, pulling a knife from his coat. "Where's the money, old woman?" Alina chuckled, a dry sound that sent a shiver down Luther's spine. "Money," she repeated. "Is that what you came for?" Cyrus, growing impatient, lunged toward her, but the moment he did, she took a breath, a long, deliberate inhale. The air seemed to ripple, as if something unseen had been pulled from the room. Cyrus froze mid-step, his eyes bulged, veins rising beneath his skin. He gasped, clutching his throat, but no sound came. Then, with a strangled wheeze, he collapsed, his body shriveled, his flesh gaunt. Luther screamed. Vincent grabbed his pistol and fired. The bullet never reached Alina. It stopped inches from her chest, quivering, before falling harmlessly to the floor. Alina stood, slow and graceful. "My breath is a gift," she whispered, "a gift I gave long ago, and a curse I now bear." She took another breath, deeper this time. Luther dropped to his knees, his skin paling, his muscles withering. His cries became thin, reedy, until his lungs no longer held the strength to scream. His eyes sunk into his skull, and his last breath was stolen by the woman who had lived too long. Vincent ran. He bolted down the hallway, past dusty furniture, past faded memories. He reached the front door, yanking at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. A voice whispered behind him, "Do you know what happens when you steal from a woman who has nothing left to give?" Vincent turned, tears streaking his face. Alina loomed before him, her frail form blocking the door, though she barely seemed to move. He lifted his knife, but his arm was weak, his knees buckled, his breath came short, shallow, like something was pulling it away. Alina leaned in close, her lips mere inches from his. "I have been robbed before," she murmured. "First my husband, then my children. Time has taken everything from me." She exhaled, a warm, putrid wind that filled Vincent's lungs, and he choked on decay, on centuries of sorrow, on death itself. The next morning, the townspeople spoke of the howling wind that had rattled their windows in the night, but only the birds bore witness to the 3 withered corpses left at the doorstep of Evermore Mansion, their faces frozen in silent, eternal screams.